Hey everyone, John from Nintendo Life here, and today we're reviewing Life is Strange True Colors for Nintendo Switch. But these are not my words and opinions, as this review was written by Ollie Reynolds for NintendoLife.com and was adapted to video by me. Anyway, let's question ourselves on the go. It's hard to believe that we're now on the 4th Life is Strange game in just 6 years. That's a lot of content in a relatively short space of time, so there's an undeniable danger of the series running out of steam. But thankfully, Life is Strange True Colors is confidently the most accomplished game in the series so far, showcasing a likable cast of characters, a well-written narrative, and a fantastic soundtrack. True Colors stars Alex Chen, played marvelously by Rika Mori. Alex moves to the quaint mining town of Haven Springs after a lengthy stint in foster care. Reuniting with her brother Gabe, it soon becomes evident that Alex harbors a secret ability to sense strong emotions in others, thus causing the same emotion, whether it be happiness, fear, or anger, to manifest in Alex herself. What follows is a well-told mystery that's full of moments that'll make you smile, tear up, laugh, and more. It's all ultimately anchored by Alex herself, who tries to navigate her increasingly stressful life in Haven Springs, all while battling self-doubt and fear over the power she deems to be a curse. She's one of the strongest protagonists we've seen in years, and she really feels like someone you could actually meet in real life, such as the strength of her dialogue and mannerisms. Surrounding Alex is an equally impressive cast of supporting characters, from the bearded bartender Judd to music lover Steph. Each character displays their own backstory and quirks, and all do well to drive the narrative forward. While there's a definite temptation to push through the story and find out exactly what goes on in Haven Springs, we'd encourage you to really take your time and get to know each of its inhabitants. Despite its clear strengths, there are quite a few issues with the narrative that are worth mentioning. Firstly, while Alex's backstory is mostly well told through dialogue and subtle nods to her past, there are a few on-the-nose moments that felt a tad unnecessary, like when Alex plays a distinctly morose rendition of Radiohead's Creep. Yeah, we get it. Additionally, Alex's blossoming relationship with Steph sometimes feels a bit rushed and unearned. Slightly more time spent on this aspect would have made their time together more believable. In terms of gameplay, the majority of the experience is focused on interacting with objects within the world and engaging in conversations with the locals. Pretty standard stuff for the adventure genre. Conversations play out with the occasional dialogue choice, all of which feel relatively meaningful, and allow interactions to go off in multiple directions. In addition to the standard interactions, you can also use Alex's ability to feel emotion within others. By holding down the L button, you're given this handy visual guide as to what kind of emotions other characters are feeling, red being anger, purple being fear, and so on. You can zone in on individual characters and hear their internal thoughts. The mechanic isn't utilized particularly well during moment-to-moment gameplay, but is expanded upon greatly during key story beats, enabling Alex to either help individuals with their emotions or awaken her own fear or anger. The game also throws in some nifty minigames for good measure, some great, some, well, pretty bad. On the plus side, Alex's apartment contains its own arcade game. It's a pretty accomplished 2D platformer that feels like a port of a genuine 80s video game. But on the flip side, you've got minigames like the foosball table. This maps each row of players to the 4 shoulder buttons, and playing this feels pretty clunky and frustratingly unresponsive. And then the game insists you do 3 matches in a row. With the game's move to Nintendo Switch, Life is Strange True Colors retains its distinctive look pretty well. Particular care and attention has gone into the game's wonderful facial animations, with subtle movements making each interaction feel all the more believable. The town of Haven Springs is well realized, with its main street and occupying shops displaying a boatload of character. But it's not to say the game looks perfect on Nintendo's console. When compared to its release on other systems, the Switch version has endured some pretty severe graphical downgrades. Environments lack much needed detail, and this is particularly noticeable with the wide landscape shots. Additionally, textures often take a long time to load in, with buildings, trees and objects appearing blurred for a few seconds before the visuals catch up. But we do have to give a massive shout out to the soundtrack. Acoustic tunes make up the majority of the music here, and it fits the tone and setting of the game remarkably well. You'll sometimes come across zen moments in the story, which showcase some of the setting of Haven Springs to a wonderful accompanying song. Visual grievances aside, it makes for some lovely ambient calming moments. Life is Strange True Colors is the best game in the series by far, without a doubt. The town of Haven Springs is full of excellent characters, with Alex Chen herself being one of the best protagonists we've seen in a long time. The game does suffer from some pretty severe graphical downgrades in the Switch release, and some of the additional minigames left us feeling a bit cold. Nevertheless, developer Deck 9 has crafted a fantastic narrative that you'll be eager to see through to the very end. Reduced visual fidelity aside, Switch is a great place to experience true colors. We here at Nintendo Life give Life is Strange True Colors an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, feel what that subscribe button is feeling. Can you feel rage, or anger, or delight? If so, click it. And we'll see you next time. Bye everyone. Alright, so while these words aren't mine, I am the one who put this video together, meaning I played the game too. And if I sound a bit funny, I have quite a sore throat, so sorry if the entire review sounded a little bit weird, but here we go. And because I'm not feeling great, I'm not going to edit any of this. I'm just going to ramble, and we're going to see what comes out. So I love the Life is Strange series. My favourite, I'd say, is probably still the first game. I think it's definitely commendable for True Colors to be the best, like our reviewer here says. But just personally speaking, I still adore the first one. True Colors is really close though. The first Life is Strange came at a really good moment, where Telltale were kind of flooding the market with all these choose-your-own-path story games, and I was getting a bit bored of them. I thought I was done with that genre. But then Life is Strange came along and showed me how good it could still be. And since then, the entire series has been consistently high quality, and True Colors has reached a point where, like, in terms of presentation, it's fantastic. The facial animations are better than they've ever been, and just the pure energy and believability and relatability of the characters is at an all-time high. I adore this game. So while I still hold the first game in a bit of a higher regard, True Colors is outstanding. But in terms of the Switch port, I think it does toe the line of being acceptable. During cinematic sequences where the camera's close to the characters, it looks pretty good. But then there are moments where you're free roaming around, you look off into the distance, and it's just a big old blur. In fact, this shot right here, this should show it quite well. So during one of the Zen moments, a bird comes down. Let's just pause on this bird a moment. Is that bird okay? Are his wings alright? It definitely does take a hit on Switch. Like, for the most part, during the story, which is what matters in this game, it generally looks fine. But if you're expecting native resolution, you're not getting that. You're not getting that by a long shot. It's definitely quite a blurry game. Playing on Switch is like playing on like an old DVD player. Whereas if you want the Blu-ray experience, then get it elsewhere. It's kind of hard to recommend playing on Switch, because it's great to pick up and play in short bursts, and just play like an episode on a train or something. But at the same time, story is the core of this game, and I think I'd recommend experiencing the story in a better light. So yeah, it's a bit of a funny one to recommend, but Life is Strange True Colors, just in its raw form, is an outstanding game, and something that people should experience, absolutely. Whether that's on Switch, that's up to you. If you think that the shortcomings are acceptable, then go for it. If not, play it elsewhere. It's still a great game.